Alright, so welcome back everybody. So we're going to be continuing going over Operation Wetback. Now, under the Bracero Program, the United States government offered Mexican citizens short-term contracts to work in the United States. The government guaranteed that the Braceros would be protected from discrimination and substandard wages. The pay for Mexican citizens would be the same as for U.S. citizens working the same job in the same area, although in most cases the pay still not enough to make a decent living. In addition, Mexican workers would receive free housing, health care, and transportation back to Mexico when their contracts expired. These enticements prompted thousands of unemployed Mexican workers to join the program. They were either single men or men who left their families behind. The Mexican government had two main reasons for entertaining the agreement. First, it wanted the Braceros to learn new agricultural skills that they could bring back to Mexico to enhance the country's crop production. Second, it expected the Braceros to bring the money they earned back to Mexico, thus helping to stimulate the Mexican economy. Despite promises from the U.S. government, the Braceros suffered discrimination and racism in the United States. For example, many restaurants and theaters, they either refused to serve Mexicans or segregated them from the white customers. In addition, even though the United States government guaranteed fair wages, many employers ignored the guidelines and paid less to Mexican laborers. This was especially true for the undocumented Mexican laborers who also arrived. Not only were their wages even less than legally hired workers, some employers further exploited them by not providing such basic needs as stable housing and access to health care. The growing influx of undocumented workers in the United States led to a widespread public outcry. Many Americans argued that the use of undocumented immigrants in the labor force kept wages for U.S. agricultural workers low. Unable to solve these problems, the U.S. government ended the Bracero Program in 1964. However, both migrant and undocumented workers continued to find work in the U.S. agricultural industry into the 21st century. Despite the Bracero Program, American growers continued to recruit and hire illegal laborers to meet their labor needs. The program could not accommodate the number of Mexicans who wished to work in the United States. Many who were denied entry as a bracero crossed illegally into the United States in search of better wages and opportunity. Nearly 70% of people who were attempting to immigrate to America were denied because they were viewed as undesirable for a variety of reasons, including age, gender, or other factors. While the Mexican Constitution allowed citizens to cross borders freely with a valid labor contract, foreign labor contracts could not be made in the United States until an individual had already legally entered the country. This conflict, combined with literacy exams and fees from the INS, formed significant obstacles for Mexican laborers wishing to seek higher wages and increased opportunity in the United States. Now, food shortages were common in Mexico while most of the foodstuff produced was exported. Hunger and misgovernment combined with population growth prompted the Mexicans to attempt to enter the United States either legally or illegally in search of wages and a better life. This growth was exponential, resulting in the population nearly tripling in a short period of just 40 years. The Mexican government's interference with the privatization and mechanization of Mexican agriculture added more problems to finding employment in Mexico, providing yet another reason for Mexicans to enter the United States in search of higher wage jobs. With the growing concern about unassimilated immigrants and the diplomatic and security issues surrounding illegal border crossing, popular pressure caused the INS to increase its raids and apprehensions beginning in the early 1950s, leading up to Operation Wetback. The Korean War and the Red Scare also prompted tighter border security to prevent presumed communist infiltration. In 1943, more United States border control officers were posted along Mexico's northern border. Pressure from the well-connected Mexican land and farm owners, frustrated with the Bracero Program, prompted the Mexican government to call a meeting in Mexico City with 4 agencies of the United States government: the Department of Justice, the Department of State, the INS, and the Border Patrol. This meeting resulted in increased border patrol along the United States-Mexico border by the United States, yet illegal immigration persisted. One of the main issues was that increased pressure by the Mexican government produced more deportations, but the deported Mexicans rapidly re-entered the United States. To combat this, the Mexico and American governments developed a strategy in 1945 to deport Mexicans deeper into Mexico territory by a system of planes, boats, and trains. However, in 1954, negotiations surrounding the Bracero Program broke down, prompting the Mexican government to send 5,000 troops to its border with the United States. In correspondence with assistance to President Dwight Eisenhower, Harlan Carter, head of the Border Patrol, planned Operation Cloudburst, which requested an executive order to mobilize the military to round up the illegal entrants at the southwest border and to raid migrant camps and businesses in the interior of the United States. In defense of the Pace Comitas Act of 1878, Eisenhower declined to authorize the use of federal troops, instead appointing Army General Joseph May Swing as the Commissioner of the Immigration and Naturalization Service. Eisenhower gave Swing the power to resolve border control issues in order to stabilize labor negotiations with Mexico. Now, we're going to be doing a part 3 video of this where we're actually going to start diving into Operation Wetback, how that lasted for the 10 years that it lasted, and what repercussions the United States had suffered from Operation Wetback.